All right, YouTube. Hey, welcome back to the show. Thanks for checking in. Welcome back to the channel. All that good stuff. Dusting off my placement here. Hey, today we're going to talk about the inflation index, or monitoring the inflation situation. Stay tuned. So yeah, YouTube, welcome back. So this video, I want to address a video that was done by City Prepping to continue on some of the things that we've talked about on here for years, even a decade even. And that's the inflation situation. City Prepping did a video talking about things you need to get before August 1st. And usually, that's like a hype video, like, okay, whatever, these are the things you need to do now to prep. But I clicked on it because he's usually not like that way. So I was like, this is probably pretty good. So he has a list of 7 things that will be affected by tariffs on August 1st. And I took heed and I was like, okay, these are some things that I'm interested in, or I have tailored my preps towards these things. One was coffee, one was orange juice, pharmaceuticals, just food and vegetables in general. And what was the other one? There was another one, but it has to do with the tariffs on Brazil taking place August 1st, et cetera, et cetera. I'll link it below so you can check that out. But I was in the store and I was like, I will check this out to see how this has affected me and think about how much I have prepped for this, or how am I going to go through this bump in the road, right? Because I expect it to be a bump in the road for my case. It may not be a bump in the road for everybody. But went to the coffee because coffee is important. Now, we've talked about coffee for a while and prepping it, and then we talked about the coffee index about a year and a half ago. And I don't know how much I've reattacked it in the last year. I may have mentioned it in a live chat or something, but in particular, look at the chart of coffee from 1975 to 1980 versus a chart of coffee now, 2020 to 2025. The last time I looked at it about a month ago, it's like almost identical. And what followed coffee? Gold. What's following coffee now? Gold. What followed gold? Silver. What's following gold now? Silver. It's just like, it's not exactly replaying history, but it does definitely rhyme. So in the grocery store, looking at the coffee supply, and prices of coffee have went up undeniably. A can of coffee 2 years ago, $5.99, something like that. And this is the generic, not the Folgers, Maxwell House, whatever else you fancy people drink. Generic store brand. Today, $9.99. So total 100% inflation, basically, just short of that in the last couple of years. And the coffee price, as you find the market price, reflects that. In particular, I was looking at, so coffee can store for a period of time. What I have noticed is coffee producers have gotten away from the metal cans, which are preferable for prepping and storing. They've went to that cardboard or plastic, which I definitely don't stock plastic containers of coffee. It's hard to get the can of coffee. I believe Costco, their Kirkland brand still comes in the can. That's about it that I've noticed on my end, at least in the Smith's Kroger brand store here. One thing I took note of that I haven't looked at in a while, it took me aback. The selection of instant coffee is minuscule compared to what it was just a couple years ago. A couple years ago, there were like 6 brands that you could line up, and each brand had 3 different versions of instant coffee. And what I noticed is that was tailored way back. Not nearly as many brands, not nearly as big a selection on the instant coffee. So while the coffee packaging on the ground side had definitely taken a reshape in the last couple of years, so had instant coffee, and I hadn't been paying attention to it. I put back quite a bit of instant coffee as the backup a couple years ago and kind of haven't really paid attention to it again. So when I was looking this time around, I was like, oh, yeah, it's definitely already taken a hit, probably based upon the price. This isn't, we're not even to August 1st yet, and these tariffs and everything, which if you look at City Prepping's videos, focus mostly on Brazil and what they produce and what we import from Brazil. So even prior to this, the effect on coffee has been drastic. And if you'll remember my video I did years ago, the thing you're going to notice most in the slow burn, in the slow economic burn, is the lessening of variety in name your item, because we are such a robust economy. We have such a great, vast selection of just about anything you want. As you get reduction in variety, that's going to be your real signal sign that there are definitely economic hard times approaching, encroaching, if you will. So that's one thing I noticed, was the selection of instant has come down drastically that I hadn't been paying attention to. Who knows how incremental it's been over the last 2-3 years. So I went and I just got one more can. One more can here. And I get this one because it's got a glass jar and it's got a foil cap, foil cover. That's why I focus on those for storage. And to go along with that, orange juice is what I talked about. And can you get frozen orange juice anymore? Is frozen orange futures even a thing anymore? In America, at least, I don't think it is. Somebody let me know. Do they have frozen orange juice in Florida or something? Because I haven't seen frozen orange juice in years. And we don't dabble a whole lot in orange juice. But what I have done years ago, I've went with the Dad on YouTube favorite of Tang as the backup to the orange juice, just to have that type of beverage backup. Years ago when Dad, I'm pretty sure it was Dad on YouTube that kind of focused. I was like, yeah, I should get some Tang. So that's long, but that was come up in the video, and I just thought about, I'm good on that. I don't really dabble a whole lot in orange juice, so just a little bit of backup. But the coffee, I knew the prices have been going up, and I've structured things, and I've had the instant for a while as putting back, and I was like, I'm just going to get one more to see how this goes August 1st. Not that I'm expecting a grand coffee shortage. But the tariff thing is definitely rolling around. And there's something about the tariffs that I think we missed the point on. Tariffs are covering up inflation. Tariffs are siphoning off cash and sending it back through to the government, whereas usual it would, it's going to affect prices for sure, but it's not immediately as noticeable for most people, the extra cash on hand, because it goes so quickly through the system. And the powers that be, we've talked about the rotation of money in the money supply and the changing hands quickly it's going to pretend it's going to be a false signal of a healthy economy because of the increased cycle of cash going in the system. So it'll be all this movement of cash. Oh, things are good. Money's moving faster. No, it's just money moving out of your pocket more into things that you used to pay the same thing for. It's going to be a false signal. Another one. So there's multiple false signals in the economy that make people think that, oh, things are getting better, going with the propaganda line of the, powers that be right now. And the Fed still hasn't lowered rates. And the really kicker that is really coming, I'm telling you, gold and silver have moved up drastically without even a rate cut. Who knows what's going to happen if they ever do lower rates. There's been a lot of talk about the Volcker rule and what Volcker did in the 80s of raising rates. Who knows what kind of impact that's going to have if we go that route. But I was just paying attention to what City Prepping said about these tariffs and about the impact on goods. So that was in particular thing. I've been following Vienna Sausage Index. We were 49 cents back before 2020. We've got up to 89. We're back down to, we've settled at 85, it looks like. So continuing to monitor. I'm just waiting for the dollar to show up, 99 cents, any day now, but it hasn't kicked in. It's kind of interesting to me how we've settled at 85 cents. But continue to monitor. The data on YouTube Disney Index doesn't bode well for any of us, I don't think. And inflation is definitely getting squirrely in everyday goods. And when you think about things like just your instant coffee and the taking away variety from people just in these simple things, it's the narrowing of the window to, you're only going to have one choice of one thing you like. Like one day you're going to go in the store and it's only going to be Folgers. And that's going to be the government brand, right? You'll be like, how did this happen? We've only got Coke. What happened to Coke and Pepsi? Like, we'll all be lamenting because the specialization goes away in that type of slow burn economy. So that's just my observation and some continuing to monitor. Encourage everybody to look at what affects you and has the most impact on you in your place and where you are, because there is something impacting you where you are in your place. It is happening unobserved maybe, but see what you can do to observe it. Even if something is little and little, I would say the slight impact that coffee has trickles down to everything else. And there's other things that are bigger that probably just incrementally slow frog in the boiling pot, right? Slowly but surely. All right, YouTube went long. Hope everybody's having a good week. Prep hard, pray hard, live free.